On 99 FM, time for us to go on our daily grind with our Royal Hustler, brought to you by the Namibia Trade Directory. As you are aware, every Tuesdays and Thursdays are dedicated to our Namibian Royal Hustlers, and this morning I'm joined by the CEO of Namib Desert Diamonds, a cutting-edge diamond company and sales company perfectly positioned to create a sustainable route to market a portion of Namibia's unique and highly sought-after diamonds. It's time to create value. This morning, CEO Mr. Kennedy Hamutenya is joining us to tell us a bit more about his royal hustle, his background, and how he found himself in the space of these shiny stones. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me.
Morning, Shad. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to have you out in our space. What do you think about my playground?
This is nice.
Yeah.
This place is, you can breathe here.
Yes.
It's like a place for designers or architects or something.
Creators, yes.
Artists.
Let's talk about you for this morning. It's our Royal Hustler, and we're here to celebrate Namibians who are thriving in the spaces they find themselves in. Tell us a bit about your background, where you're born and raised, and where you come from.
Okay, I was born in Windhoek, old location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just after I was born, that's when we had the first removal from old location to Katutura. I grew up specifically in Dongerhoek, Ovambo 20, 33. Yeah, so I'm a Dongerhoek boy.
Yes, yeah. And where did you go to school? Also in the same space?
Yeah, I started my school at Mandume School. So I did sub A, sub B, and at that point, because of the level to which my family was involved, I grew up with my grandparents, and I never grew up with my mom and dad. So it was a time of heightened political tensions. My grandfather was really an activist. He was a troublemaker. What you call good trouble.
Yeah,
John Lewis, he used to talk about good trouble, fighting for the cause. So therefore, I was raised by my grandparents until I was 9 years old, and then I moved on. I lived in a house where we were constantly terrorized. They would come, the former regime, they would come with dogs. Sometimes we would sleep in a house where a cannon is facing our house. They would come in our house every other week and just destroy everything. We start all over again. So yeah, my grandparents didn't want me to grow up in that kind of environment.
Yes.
So they organized for me to be smuggled out of the country.
Make a plan.
At 9 years old, 1976.
Wow.
So I ended up in the refugee camp in Zambia. I went through Botswana, spent 3 months in a prison in Maun, Tukwe refugee camp, and yeah, I found myself in Yango camp, 1976, with other kids, fighting for food, fighting to survive.
As a young boy going through that, growing up back then in 1976, finding yourself in that type of environment, did you have any dreams, ambitions? What were your wishes for your future? What did you want to become?
Well, to be honest, since I was a kid, I really wanted to be a doctor. Eventually, I had to study my way out of the refugee camp. If you wanted to get out of the refugee camp, you had to have good grades. It's the only way you could get out. So I was really fortunate that I managed to get a scholarship from the UN, High Commissioner for Refugees, and I ended up in Buea, Cameroon.
Wow.
This was around 1978, 79, 80. So I ended up at Baptist Boys Secondary School in Buea. I did my high school there until 1985. Then I went back to Angola to teach at our refugee camp in Kwanza Soya. And I studied there. I was teaching school in Kwanza So. Morning time, I used to teach the young ones maths and science. In the evening, I used to teach older people human biology. Our vice president, Honorable Nango Bumba. He was the principal of the Kwanzaa Education Center. So he said to me one day, Kennedy, I have a problem with unwanted pregnancies, and I understand you were good in human biology. So in the evening, I was teaching women human biology. So some of these ladies there that work at immigration at the airport, they were my students. And I was a small child. Still, I was a teenager when
young boy.
Yeah, I was 17 when I came from Cameroon.
Yeah.
And the board was so high up, so I used to climb on a paint drum. To write.
To write on the board.
And draw the human anatomy.
Yeah.
And I was drawing private parts. And these ladies, they would close their eyes and say, oh, so today when I come back into the country after my business trips, those ladies, they start giggling and say, oh, comrade teacher. Yes. Climbing on the drum. Yeah, so yeah, it's a pleasure to see people that I taught in the refugee camp that they are thriving in society.
At 17, that would have been your side hustle, coming back to Angola and helping and assisting and teaching others.
Yes, we had a policy they call each one teach one.
Yes.
So you didn't have to be a certified teacher.
Yes.
We just said if you know something, teach somebody.
Go up there and teach somebody.
And that really helps because by the time we came back home, everybody really had some education, some experience that could help to contribute to the country. Yeah.
Especially having experienced education outside of the country as well. Exactly. You're currently the CEO of Namdev. How did you find yourself in this space?
Okay. When I was teaching in Kwanzaa, one of those days when I was standing on the drum, writing on a chalkboard, one of my colleagues, Mishek Mamili, he lives in Zambezi East now, he came to the door of my class and he says, Kennedy, please climb down. We are going to America. So I look at him. I say, you are crazy, man. You are disrupting my class. Get out of here. And he says, Kennedy, the convoy is leaving in 20 minutes. You need to go and grab your things. We are going to the US of A. I started crying. My students started crying. They said, no, our teacher is going. So, yeah, I ended up, first, we were a group of us, 6 of us. Eliphas Awala, the CEO of Pangelo, Erasmus Shivolo, mining commissioner, Abisai Shanyenge Matali is an engineer working for Swakop Uranium, Diogen Sangola, and Bishek Mami. So yeah, we made that trip to the US. Yeah. There's a lot that happened in between, like us being attacked by UNITA on the way to Luanda, for example. We survived. We were defended by our soldiers. And yeah, we made it to the USA, and I did, basically we were tasked to go and study earth sciences, mining engineering, metallurgical engineering, anything that will help to develop the mineral resources of Namibia. So the task that we were given really was to study those. So like I said, I wanted to be a doctor, but yeah, Swapo had other ideas, and I ended up an engineer. And then I joined the Ministry of Mines and Energy. I came back, first of all, I came back 89 to vote. Me and Elfas, we came back to vote. In 89, we were repatriated on a one-way ticket from the US by the UN. So after the elections 89, I was on Independence Avenue, walking around, and Comrade Katusha, Honorable Naya Sangu, I found me on the street. He said, Kennedy, what are you doing here? You should be in school. I said, we are waiting for independence. Yes. Now, independence is in March.
Yes, coming up.
1990. And here we are in end of the year, 89, and we are on the streets on Independence Avenue, and Naya said, no way you should be here. He was very angry. He organized one-way ticket for me and Ilfas back to the US to go and finish our engineering. So I really thank him, because I would not have finished school just here waiting for independence. So we watched it on CNN in the US.
It's worth it.
So I came back. Initially, I wanted to work at Namdev. They wanted me to work for them. I did my practical training with Rosin Uranium. So when I finally finished school, my dad was not so well. and he was living in Windhoek. He was not in a good situation. I chose to stay in Windhoek. I received an offer from Ministry of Mines and Energy. I took the offer, joined the ministry as a mining inspector. So while I was doing this job, Madam Inge Damwani Kamwi, she was my boss. She was director of mines. And I'm a person who likes to write. I'm a literal person. When I was in high school, nobody beat me in literature or history. So then she noticed that I like to write. And one of my colleagues, Oscar Shiwana, he went to join the BS. And he was the secretary to the Diamond Board at that time. So he went for greener pastures. And so there was a vacuum there, and Inge looked at me and she said, go to that office. So that's how I started my work with diamonds. Okay. Then Inge went to Namdev to be the managing director. And yeah, because I was working so close to him and I knew everything she was doing, when she left, everybody just looked at me. And I said, no, I'm too young. And they said, it's you. So I became the director of mines then. I was working with all the minerals and I was really juggling. And what I discovered then was that diamonds were really significantly, disproportionately contributing to development of Namibia. So I took an interest in that. So that time I wrote a memo to cabinet. I said, look, I want to concentrate on diamonds. And they said, it's okay, you can do that. So that's how I ended up the Diamond Commissioner. I worked in the ministry for 21 years. I left 3.5 years ago to go and help start up Namibia. And yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Yeah. What's your motivation? What is the thing that drives you, that makes you want to do the things that you have done, that ever since you were 17 gave you the courage to move and make those choices?
I'm driven a lot by legacy. You know, when you look at our country, it has immense potential. You know, how we can transform and harness our resources to benefit Namibia. So, working in the ministry, I saw firsthand what resources are able to do for a country. You know, generating revenue, disproportionate revenue was coming from diamond business, building our country, our roads, our hospitals, our schools. So that transformation, being able to do something that has an impact on people's lives, that's really what drives me. I like to see things that leave a positive legacy to our people, our communities, our country, growing our country. Yeah, that's really what drives me.
Yeah. With our challenges that we are being faced now and the positions that Namibia finds itself in, as well as yourself, what opportunities are we presented with? What can we benefit from this time?
I wish you had started first with challenges, because I like to end with positivity.
Please, also, let's go with the challenges first, with our struggles, yes.
Okay, look, with COVID, look, it's very obvious now. You know, we have a lot, what's happening is loss of life, loss of liberty, loss of opportunities, loss of revenue, an economy that is shrinking. You know, they are predicting that our economy will shrink by some 8% this year. So a lot of damage has been done to our country. Secondly, you know, our health and education sector. You know, they say a healthy nation is a productive nation, you know, and an educated nation, they say education is the greatest equalizer. Where would I be without an education today? I would be digging holes for paratus, or I would be selling newspapers on the street. So there's no difference between me and everyone else. It's really just education and exposure and empowerment and opportunities. And yeah, also we see a lot of loss of international trade. Logistics are cut off. Communication with the world is difficult. Access to finance, difficult. Money is stressed. Loss of capacity. You know, Sven Thieme was saying the other day, it will take us so much more to rebuild our tourism sector. You know, so when all this dies down, we basically, it's like there was a hurricane or some tsunami, and we have to clean up and rebuild our country. So yeah, those are some of the challenges that we face today. And also the other things is you find a lot of young people have been retrenched, and that means fewer and fewer people putting food on the table at home. And that is stressing everyone else. If you were taking care of your immediate family, now you have to take care of extended family and friends. Everyone is stressed. Everyone is asking for money. Yeah. So there's a lot of agony. There's a lot of distress. Yeah. Those are really the challenges that we are facing today. And also, you must remember now, resources that were earmarked for development are being diverted now to avert the disaster, the health disaster, to save people's lives. And what's going to happen, you see more and more young people will be agitated, and that can create instability in the country. Yeah. So, those are the threats to our country.
Some
that
of the
we're
challenges,
facing,
Let's look at the opportunities. Do you see somewhere beyond that there's a silver lining, somewhere where we can break through, and what can we start doing to make that change happen already now before disaster strikes?
The famous Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, he said that even where there is chaos, there is also opportunity. Yeah, but you need to see that opportunity. If you are too much consuming the negativity, you can be blurred. Your vision can be blurred, so you don't see that opportunity that exists. So, yes, these are tough, challenging, frustrating, distressing, and demoralizing times. But King Solomon, he wrote the shortest book in the Bible, my favorite book, Ecclesiastes. And he says that there is nothing new under the sun, and these too shall come to pass.
Absolutely.
So, in the Bible, during the biblical times, there were plagues. We are reading about them, bad things happened. And even before the turn of the century, we've seen several plagues. So, these things will not be here forever. See? So, the opportunities here, for example, let's talk about Namibia now. Our clients cannot come to the country. We cannot go to them. With diamonds, for example, you have to look at them, you have to feel them, you have to see them, you want to know what is it. We have about 16,000 different categories of diamonds, 16,000 different price points. Wow. It's not a homogeneous product, it's a heterogeneous product. So it's in the eye of the beholder. So the buyer has to look at it. Now, if they cannot fly here, that means we can't sell. Since lockdown, we have not sold one single diamond. Okay, we might sell some to our clients that trust us blindly, but we've been struggling to sell. That means that our revenue it's not happening at the moment. We hope that this changes very soon. But the situation in the world is just getting worse and worse, and Windhoek is becoming the epicenter, the center, the eye of the storm is happening in Windhoek right now. This is a threat to our business. It's a threat to the tourism business and to all other businesses. But what we are learning is that people are now, these challenging times make you innovative. Now we are thinking about online sales, technology where you are able to visualize things in 3D, where you can convince your client that, look, I am going to sell you this, I will ship it to you, and it's good, you can trust me. Yeah, so we're exploring all those type of avenues. Look, also working at home has taught us that we don't have to be dogmatic about working from 8 to 5.
Yes.
And even our own experience at Namdev, you see, if you empower the people with technology and you trust your people, and your people know there's an understanding what they need to do and what's expected of them. Yeah. You don't need to be over their shoulders. You don't need to police them.
And micromanaging.
Our people are performing from home. So now, for example, if you look at the way we've been treating pregnant women, you are pregnant.
You can't
go home, we slash your salary. But women are working from home today and delivering. So in the future, why should we force our women to take a salary? If you are pregnant, go home, work, and get your full pay. So after this COVID thing, we should not send our women home pregnant and say, no, we are going to pay you half salary. This is just ridiculous. Yes. It's archaic. It makes no sense. Yeah. So this is one of the lessons and opportunity we are learning, that you can allow your people to be themselves, to be with their children, and they can work and deliver.
And still deliver.
For as long as you share a common vision, and you create a culture of accountability, to each other, to your leaders, and to your subordinates. Everyone accountable to each other.
Yes.
Look, we have to do COVID. All the free time we have gives us time for introspection. You know, we have to accept the new normal, to adapt to the new normal, and to live with the new normal. So we have to balance between loss of life and liberty and the economy as well, because people have to eat, otherwise also they will suffer. So we are in that time, we are pressured to make challenging decisions about where we are moving, and as leaders we need to do collective bold decisions together, and we need to collaborate and coordinate our efforts if we are going to fight this thing. So, and also, it gives us an opportunity to cut down on waste of resources. This whole thing has taught us that some of the things that we were crying for, they were really just luxury. So even with our own companies, we can streamline our processes, our structures, and use the resources efficiently so that they work for the country.
Yeah. Are you excited about Namibia in our way forward, post-COVID, hopefully, where we're going in the next 10 to 15 years?
Look, despite the drudgery and the doom, that feeling of doom that's going on, the feeling of hopelessness, uncertainty, weariness, you know, I'm excited about Namibia, yes, and for one good reason, the young people. I've never seen such a young, vibrant nation. You know, our young people, they are very ambitious. I'm talking about our millennials now. They are hungry, they are involved, they are proactive, they are informed, they are good at technology, so they are very informed. They know everything that's going on. You can't fool them. Yeah. So they are ready to grab the bull by the horns. So, you know, unfortunately, some of our youth have that entitlement mentality. They want things on a silver platter without lifting a finger. You have kids just home watching TV. They want entertainment. They just want to go to the bar. They are crying out because Far House is closed. They want party to party to party. But you know, young people should rather use this free time to also do their own introspection. Yeah. Buy a book that will build you. Use that time efficiently and effectively. Buy a book that will build you. Yeah. You know, talk to people. Spend that time building a business plan, developing ideas. Talk to mentors, talk to business leaders like myself and others. There are Mulungas, there are others out there, the Hawalas. Young people should approach us and say, look, help me with my business plan, help me with this. So that by the time the whistle is blown again, I say, we are ready to go. You say, I'm ready. Yeah, but now you are crying because you cannot go to Far House or you cannot have left courage. No, we need to get away from that mentality, you know. So it's an opportunity for our young people to empower themselves, and we can harness, you know, if we use that capacity that young people have, and that put together with our resources, we can actually create the nirvana, you know. God says, I'll give you this resource, but you yourself have to make sacrifice, work hard to turn it into the Eden. And that is what we have to do as Namibia. We have to take, young people have to make sacrifices, they have to work hard, they have to be committed, they must be disciplined, and just like a company, every human being must have their own vision, mission, and goals. So, with all those ingredients, we can make Namibia a first-class, world-class nation. Yeah, just like Singapore, Malaysia, Mauritius, United Arab Emirates. It was just dunes, sand dunes, but they made it into a Mecca.
City and Mecca, yes. It's time for us to wrap it up. Thank you so much. So many gems came through, and one of the biggest ones was each one, teach one. Continue to share that knowledge that you have acquired yourself with the rest, and we will start being equals, really, seriously. Education, the equalizer. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Hamutenya, and we look forward to what Namibia is going to help develop and grow in the land of the brave.
Thank you, Shay. It's always nice sharing that positive energy, that charisma you have. Keep it up.
Thank you. There you have it. If ever you miss it, head on over to our social media platforms and catch up with our Royal Hustler interview. This one's going to be on by the end of the week. You want to return, you want to listen to that history, you want to see what he says about development and growth and encouraging and empowering young people, then that's where you will find it. And also right here on 99 FM's Royal Hustler, brought to you by the Namibia Trade Directory. It is time for our news trend, bringing you up to speed with the latest